So Tiffany and I go way back. We met through a mutual friend years ago, our friend Shalene. And she was, at the time, you were a makeup artist. I mean, you were an amazing makeup artist and a stylist. You did a lot of that. And I loved your work and recruited you to come help me with some fitness stuff. So that's when we first got to know each other. And then we started working on multiple projects together. And then you just blew me away, becoming this incredible branding expert and just all the things that you teach in business. It's just really inspiring to watch and see what you've created and what you've grown. It's incredible. So we go way back, but we have stayed in touch through many iterations of both of our careers and our lives. And I had to ask her to come speak and be one of the presenters when I was putting together a whole Midlife Conversation Summit, because you are that go-to expert for the whole branding and stepping out and creating yourself, redefining yourself online. Really, that's what you did in midlife, truly.
And I think that's one of the things that's so exciting is that a lot of people, when you hear the words midlife, the word that usually follows up with it isn't conversation, like you are trying to change the narrative on that, but it's usually midlife crisis. And while there are so many changes, we want to help you guys be more prepared for those changes, regardless of where you're at, whether this is something that's going to be coming your way years from now or happening right now, like it is happening for me. I'm 48 and a half. I'll be 49 this year.
And by the way, when I say midlife, people like don't want to accept that they're midlife. Midlife is anywhere between the ages of 40 and 62. So most of you listening, you're there. And
exactly
what my mission is, what the reason I started opening up the conversations around midlife is I could teach fat loss and nutrition and workouts all day, all night. To me, it started to feel super unfulfilling because me, as I approached 50 and beyond, I found myself really lacking a lot of answers and a lot of aspiration and motivation. In fact, a fun little exercise, if you were to just Google right now, if you were to go, after this live, if you were to go Google an image of a woman in their 50s, you just said midlife women or women in their 50s, you'll find someone that appears to look like what your grandmother would have looked like. It's not what I feel my friends represent or how I feel inside right now. And I really see, especially with social media, I see so many people just really hard on themselves about aging, like really hard on themselves. Like they think they're too old. They comment that all the time. They speak into being broken. They speak into it being too late, and youth is fully glorified, which I get it. I get that. And I remember feeling that way when I was youthful. Like I thought it was going to be ancient times to be older. But when you actually achieve and get to that point, I don't know about you, Tiffany, but I actually like feel 30. I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, I'm not, but I still feel I'm that same person. So what I started to disconnect and really, or started to connect really, was that how I'm feeling is getting steered into a way I don't want to feel because of what other people say about it. So like when
oh, that is so important. As well as one of the questions I wanted to start with, as you started to pivot your brand and you even changed the name of your podcast, can you plug your podcast for a second for those of you who are not subscribed yet?
Yeah.
And I was one of your first podcast interviews when you started podcasting in the first place, and you pivoted and you shifted because you felt this calling and you weren't as fulfilled.
So the backstory on that's actually interesting. So I had built a whole brand on fat loss, fitness, and nutrition. Like that's what I had done. And the
2.5 million followers.
The reason I originally started the podcast, it's been through many iterations. It was originally called Leveling Up, is because I started to feel super unfulfilled in my life. And I didn't know why. This is 3 years ago. I didn't know why I was feeling that way. So I started my podcast originally because I wanted to hear stories of people that navigated massive setback, hardships, humble beginnings, and failures. Because to me, that was a story I was creating that, oh, I feel unfulfilled. I feel like a failure. I don't feel good in my skin anymore. I don't feel good. So that's why I originally started the podcast. As I started recording those interviews, I started to really see this pattern of mindset and people shifting and people that were successful. It was a full mindset thing. So I started applying a lot of that to myself. And what came up for me was, okay, the reason I'm feeling this way is because I feel super unrepresented. Is that a word? Unrepresented in midlife. I feel super unrepresented in midlife as to the way that my friends actually are. So I thought, why are we so stuck in this narrative about what it has to mean? And I'm not talking about appearances, because that's a very personal choice. Like if you want to let your hair go gray or get Botox or not get Botox, that's not what I'm talking about. I think everyone is entitled to and gets to age that they want to. But I'm talking about the way that you feel.
Absolutely.
And this idea of putting caps on yourself. Like, why can't you start a new business in midlife? Why can't you improve your sex life in your marriage? Why can't you feel energetic and focused? Why can't you be as fit, or if not fitter than you were before? Like, who's telling us that we can't? And I started to really see that there was not a lot of support around those topics. And that's why I shifted into that.
And I love that so much because, like I said, for those of you who are jumping in now, I literally feel like I woke up one morning a completely different person. And you just asked me if I'm like still feeling the way that I did in my 30s or even my early 40s. Like, I felt amazing when I turned 45. I even have a photo here on Instagram on my 40. It was either 45 or 46, which was just a few years ago. But I feel drastically different today, and not in a positive way, but we're working on it because now I'm aware of what happened. But I feel like I literally woke up a different person. And I was like, what's happening to my waistline? That was like one of the more naturally thinner places. It's not about being thinner, but really, I never worried about my waist. Everything else I did, like I was worried about my thighs growing up. But so like, what literally changed overnight. And then I started getting so many aches and pains and all the things we always hear about, hot flashes and night sweats.
But here's what the difference is. When you're 20 or 30 and you have things happen, like you gain weight all of a sudden, you don't settle for, oh, it's my age, so that's what's going on. You get determined and figure it out. Or if you have a rare symptom or an ailment. But what happens is something shifts in our late 40s and 50s where we're like, oh, it's just our age, so we've got to accept it. And what I'm saying is, no, you actually do not. Like, I do a lot of humor around hot flashes and things like that, but I'm also not really, honestly, having a lot of hot flashes anymore because I've learned what to do for that. So I put some stuff out there because it's relatable to people and it's stuff I navigated. However, what I want women to know is you are not irrelevant. You're not washed up. You're not past your prime. You're not any of that unless you want to be. I mean, if you want to be, awesome. But that just because media tells you that doesn't mean that that's the case for you.
I think the pendulum is starting to swing away from that slowly but surely. And if you ask a lot of women who are probably 15, 20 years ago, they were the ones that felt like they couldn't speak up. And I am like encouraging everyone I know who's 15, 20 years older than me, as well as the women that are 15, 20 years younger than me, that we all need to come together and like getting rid of ageism, or like that you're no longer relevant. Oh my gosh. Number one, it starts with all of us supporting women. And we need to do that more and more. There's like the idea that women are catty, or that we don't support each other, or we're fighting to be on the top and there's not enough room for all of us, is total BS. And I think that one of the things, even though I'm newer emerging into perimenopause and I'm like looking at 50, I'll be 49 later this year, and all these symptoms are happening, it is so encouraging to know that I am not the only one, that I'm not losing my mind, that the pendulum is swinging and changing, and that we have options. And this could be the beginning of the best time
and I don't
your life,
want to be,
I love so much. Love,
like the rah-rah, like just let's go and let's do it. Like that's not what I want for women, but I want them to know that there are a lot of experts that have been there before us, and we don't have to navigate this alone. Like, we don't have to navigate it alone. Like, there's a lot of good information out there. You know, I'm relating it. I'll go back to weight loss because that's what I focused on for so many years. There's information overload when it came to fat loss and weight loss. And I prided myself on simplifying it for people, making it super simple. It doesn't mean that there's not other methods that worked, but the reason mine worked is I super simplified it. I honestly want to do the same thing for midlife women. Like, there's so much information out there when it comes to hormones, or your gut health, or what to do with aging parents, or there's all this information, and I'm just looking for the truth and to simplify so people can actually feel empowered and make good choices for how they want to live the second half of their lives. And by the way, when people don't like that, when they're like, I don't want to refer to myself as midlife, or I don't want to think of, like, you're being blind to do that, to not think about it, because this is why it is important. We do need to get really real with our age and what time we have here and what we want to do with it. And I want to, like, like just putting your nose up and going, oh, you know, whatever, like whatever, I don't want to deal with it, then what's going to happen? You're 70 or 80, you're like, wow, I just missed a bunch of opportunities to live my life how I wanted to because I thought I had forever.
Yes, and what I do now is what's going to create how mobile and energetic and how much I can like literally move, and things that we take for granted right now, like getting up off the floor, tying your shoes. Yep. I used to work out like a crazy person I was the queen of step aerobics, not just the queen of step aerobics. I taught double step aerobics. If you guys know double step, like where you have two platforms, all the things, high-low aerobics. That's why my knees kill me. You know, I used to do a lot of kickboxing, all the things. And now I wish I learned earlier, but I can still do it now. Like, it's not too late. Start now. Is to lift heavier weights, which I love cardio.
Yeah, but I don't, so that's the difference. So like my body does not quite feel the same. Like if I think of running, you know, 20 years ago, I ate a lot. I want to go for a run. I'm going to go run. And just like, that's how I'm going to, now I think of running and I think of pain. So the difference, it's not that I'm like trying to tell people to be in la la world and go, oh no, you just go run anyway. This is an example, but it's what do you get to start loving? What do you get to shift into? What exercise do you get to find that's going to work for your body now? So it doesn't mean that nothing literally changes, because things do change. They do change, but that doesn't mean you now become overweight or foggy headed or have to rapidly age. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means we have to learn new things and shift.
Exactly. Let's talk about why in this conversation, when we're talking about midlife, when it comes to pivoting, getting to know yourself better, and maybe we are realizing that we put up with a lot of BS that we no longer will put up with. And I love that, as all of my friends that are in their 50s are like, I no longer give any Fs. And that's why you see so many women changing and starting businesses or changing their businesses, because they're finally going after what they really wanted. The other side of that is, why is it so controversial? Especially when we're talking about hormones. Will you talk a little bit about that? Because I barely mention anything in my stories, and I'm like, bring it on, trolls don't bother me. I've been in the online space for over 8.5, 9 years, but the type of comments that I get, specifically
so
about hormones and HRT.
So I'm going to speak into hormones, but I want to first put out there that people will always find evidence to support what they want to find evidence to support. So that's number one. Like whatever you believe, you're going to find. Like if you're a vegan, you're going to find evidence to support being a vegan is amazing. If you're carnivore, you're going to find evidence to support why being carnivore is amazing. If you believe in God, you're going to find evidence about that. If you believe, look, whatever you believe, you will find evidence to support. We've got billions of people on this planet. Like there's no shortage of information. Okay. So that's first and foremost. Second, I do not believe there's only one way to live or to age. I don't believe it's a one size fits all. That's another reason I did leave concentrating on just fat loss, because as I've aged, I've seen that there's a lot of different ways. What I want to share with hormones is you don't have to suffer. Like, it's not a badge of freaking honor to say, I didn't get any help. Like, oh, I just ate like, okay, first of all, I do eat pretty darn perfect. If you don't believe me, like go get any of my books, whatever. Like, this is like, I've helped over 250,000 people lose weight and keep it off. I've nailed it with the eating. I nail it with the workouts. I have a great non-toxic lifestyle, all the things. And I still had freaking declining hormones. We all do. We all do. Like, we cannot escape that. Like they say, the only two things certain in life are death and taxes, and your hormones are going to change. There's a third. They will change. They will decline. So what do you do about that? Well, one, do you tough it out? Sure, if you want to, like, go for it. It's not a badge of honor though, because just because you tough it out or you didn't get hot flashes now, you might be the one that starts getting massive bone loss or heart issues, because loss of estrogen does help you rapidly decline and age faster. So back years ago, this is over 20 years ago, there were some flawed studies around estrogen replacement. Okay. And they were based on,
the WHI study, which a lot of us are starting to hear about now. But it was based on postmenopausal women. Postmenopausal women with already pre-existing conditions, they base this on. That has been completely debunked. It has been debunked. So when you are replacing, first of all, if everyone that was taking estrogen replacement were to get cancer, then why aren't all pregnant women walking around with cancer? Because they have a lot of estrogen. So. Or all the women, younger women that are taking birth control pills, which is a much higher level
I take bioidentical hormones. I have no shame in that. I take a very low dose of it, and I feel amazing that I did. It totally controls my hot flashes. It helps my skin. Yeah, bioidentical.
I did not
So there's
know.
different types.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I don't know why. Okay, for anyone like me, I just went to my doctor literally 3 weeks ago. I have
Yep.
started HRT bioidentical
Good.
12 days ago, and it's timed on a different thing. And because I still have my ovaries,
I
you
do
have to take
all three.
progesterone with estrogen. I've done all the research myself. And listen, please fact check me. Please don't listen to anyone. I am not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but I did do my own research.
Good.
Literally went and learned how to read all of the research from PubMed, and went to my doctor, partnered with my doctor, advocated with my doctor, who, by the way, a year ago did not even give these to me as an option. Didn't even bring it up as an option.
Most Western medicine doctors, I think they're scared, honestly, because of what happened years ago. I mean, they're scared, there's liability there. But most naturopaths, like an ND, they will suggest it. You do have to ask. And it's also a matter of, do you want optimal hormones, or do you want, like, it's a personal choice. It's a very personal choice. So there's 3 different ways you could do it. You could do synthetic hormones, which I do not recommend for people. Now, I'm not a doctor. Again, you got to do your own research, talk to doctors. I don't recommend birth control pills for women that are in perimenopause or menopause. There are issues associated with synthetic hormones there. Don't message me to get into it. Ask your doctor. Talk to them. I'm not going to get into it with you if that's what you're doing. But you really do stop your natural cycle by doing that. And there's a lot of misunderstanding. You can't even test your hormones accurately if you're doing that. But then there's HRT, and then there's bioidentical, which is considered a more natural version that mimics it in your own body. I personally chose bioidentical. I do a low dose of all 3 of the sex hormones, and I have no shame in that game. I am not the hormone expert. I tend to interview a lot of hormone experts, and I've interviewed people on all the topics around this, even on people that say why that we shouldn't do them, because I'm always open-minded to that. And I did the same thing on my summit. I interview all the I want all the information, because I do believe, just like with your health and how you choose to age, whether you want gray hair, you want to color it. I'll be coloring my hair till I'm 100, just putting it out there. I will be. But whatever you choose, it is up to you. There's no wrong or right. It's how you choose to do it. It's how you choose to do it. Same thing with hormones. It's what you choose for you.
So important. And I think that's the most important message, is that we hope that if you are in the middle of this and you're trying to like just muscle your way through, like I had for a year and a half.
Yeah, I
didn't know I had
There's
options.
lots of options. There's also options that women, and this is part of in my summit, by the way, we go so deep on this, because there's kind of a trifecta of things that I think women need to really test for. So I'm going to just start with hormones, are definitely one of them. But then also your gut health. Your gut health, it also controls how you metabolize hormones. Like, many women become estrogen dominant because of their gut problems. Many women have blood sugar dysregulation because of gut health problems. So checking hormones is critical. So is checking your gut biome. This is something also not talked about enough within with midlife women. And this is so important to me. And with that, when I say check gut health, I also suggest checking for toxins like metal poisoning. That's important. Mold poisoning. All of that stuff affects us. So what happens is, as we age, this is what happens with midlife women. You go to the doctor, you've got elevated blood sugar, or you've got elevated cholesterol, or you've got some elevated marker, and they right away put you in a box. Oh, elevated blood sugar, you're pre-diabetic. Here's metformin. Or you've got changing hormones. Oh, it's because you're menopausal age. Here's synthetic birth control pills. Or, oh, you've got high cholesterol. Here's a statin. Okay, that's what standard of care Western medicine doctors a lot of times are doing. Not all Western medicine doctors, but a lot of them are. What I want women to know is there's so many options that take you levels deeper than that you don't need to go there. I'm a perfect example. I was told I had high blood sugar. I figured that out. And I was originally told I was pre-diabetic. I'm not pre-diabetic. I had a massive leaky gut problem that I would have never known about had I not done a gut biome test. And I had a parasite. As it turns out, Tiffany, almost 50% of people have undiagnosed parasites. What? Like, why wasn't where I told about this? By fixing that and getting super educated on gut health, my blood sugar doesn't budge anymore. It's like I have to force it to go over 110. So there's layers beneath the layers, and these topics are not talked about enough, because what happens is people just assume it's your age, here's a drug. It's your age, just accept it. And that's not the case.
Yes, and I know that this is a lot of, oh my gosh, there's so much information out there, but that is what Natalie is so good at, is that she seeks out all the
Yeah.
experts. She's been doing that for years on her podcast. Look at the number of interviews that she has brought in, all different perspectives, by the way. It's not just one angle, so that we can arm ourselves with education and information and use it as a just a
Tiffany, I was
start
years,
and then
years
do
being the
what's
expert.
right
and
for
I
you.
don't want to be the expert anymore, to be honest with you. I'm a reporter, honestly. Like, that's what I do. I enjoyed my podcast. I enjoyed doing that. But this summit, my Midlife Conversation Summit, which, by the way, Tiffany's going to share a little bit more about, because she is one of the speakers on it. This airs on Monday. This is my blood and sweat for you. I poured so much into this because I had such an inquiring mind when it came to these midlife topics, and I needed to go a lot deeper. I wanted to go a lot deeper. So I sought out, so you don't have to, listening, the best of the best of the best on all midlife topics, the best of the best for gut biome, the best of the best for hormones, the best of the best for starting a business and shifting in midlife, the best of the best for sex life, like what's going on with that. That's, by the way, I interviewed Shalene Johnson for that, for what happens with that. Yeah, she's talking sex.
She's talking sex.
I wanted to know,
Love
what is the real of the real on these things. So I didn't just seek out a random person. I really looked at who's really speaking into these things, who's living these things, and I pulled them. I know a lot of hormone experts, but I picked who were the best ones to have them on this summit, because I really wanted to go deeper than my podcast and really decipher through the best information for people so they truly have it.
Because yes, as women who are going through it or about to go through it, or you're on the tail end of it, you have options. You can educate yourself, and you can go out into the internet, you can go on ChatGPT, you can Google all day long, and you'll probably end up really frustrated trying to figure out the massive amount of information and misinformation and navigating that. So that is why, Natalie is the reporter that brings the best of the best from, if you think of the Wheel of Life, if you've ever seen the Wheel of Life, there's very different segments of who we are as a human being. It's our spirituality, it's our physical body, it's our mental awareness, it's our EQ, it's our IQ, it's our business, it's our family relationships, it's our love all those important areas of our life. Natalie really brought in the best of the best experts to speak about it in the frame of the women who are going through the midlife experience. And again, in the very beginning of this live video, Natalie is talking about, midlife isn't 50 plus necessarily. It's if you're gifted with a very long, healthy life, that maybe you get to live to 90. And so when you hit 45, or if you live to 80, we've already hit that midpoint. It's a big range, and we want to empower you to take care of yourself now, and not when you're super symptomatic.
There's 52 million Tiffany midlife women in the United States alone. That's a lot of people that think that they're irrelevant. If you think about that, there's more. That is a huge group, and there's not enough information. And I'm tired of just listening to what is the doctor's that's just because you're a doctor doesn't make you God. I'm sorry. There's a lot of amazing doctors, but they don't know everything. And I'm sorry, nothing drives me more crazy than a male doctor that's not a female in midlife telling us what we need to do with our hormones or our body. It drives me freaking crazy. I'm like, you are not personally experiencing this. You are not going through a hot flash. Don't tell me I don't need bioidentical hormones. I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. You can shoot me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the hot flashes, we hear about that so much, but it's there's over 30 different symptoms. And I think I had all of them but the hot flashes. Yeah. And it's body aches that make no sense. You're like, I didn't lift anything. Yeah. It's waking up not feeling like yourself. And it does not have to be that way. We want you guys to know it does not have to be that way. You have options that you can personalize for you, and you can do the work to figure out what you want and be your best.
And I'm not knocking, I'm not knocking your doctor. You might have an amazing doctor, but if you don't like the answer, go get other opinions, because the answer should not be you just need to accept it, that you just need to accept your extra weight gain. You need to accept your slowed down metabolism. You need to accept your changing hormones. You need to accept, you don't have to. There's lots of options.
No. I'm telling you, everyone's different, and it's too early for me to say, but I felt so differently within just the first couple of days. And I was in denial with a lot of this. I was one of those women I was in denial. I'm like, I'm not.
This is why you were in denial, Tiffany, because too many people put a stigma on it, and there shouldn't be. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. There's no.
Absolutely. And now you know, even as someone who's a business owner and does video and teaches other business owners to do that, I want women to be empowered, because too many of us won't show up because we're sweaty. I found myself doing that. I'm like, if I have another hot flash on another live video, and I stopped accepting speaking on stages this year until I figured this out. Like, we are taking ourselves out of the game after working so damn hard to get here, because I can't sweat on stage in front of thousands of people, and that's legit. But it doesn't have to be that way, and I'm doing something about it. So I've read like 9,000 books to empower myself. I've been talking to Natalie, and then synergistically she invited me to be one of her 45 speakers. Oh my gosh. Tell us about the summit that you have brought together, which, by the way, is completely free. And I need you guys, all of you listening to me, you're here for a reason, and you're watching, and we're so passionate about this because this affects every area of your life and the people that love you, and you could do something about it. And so you brought the best of the best.
I have a podcast.
We want you to prioritize.
I want to explain the difference here, because some people are like, well, I listen to your podcast and it's great. I'm glad you love my podcast. I think it is great. We've got great topics. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to have more deep conversations around some of the topics that we're doing well on the podcast. So what I did is I put together a summit, which is the best of the best of the best on the topics that are super relevant midlife. So they're not just health topics. I mean, we do go deep into gut health and to hormones and blood sugar and all of that. Like, that was important. But we also talk about navigating a scary diagnosis, because that's real in midlife. Becoming an empty nester. How do you care for aging parents? What's going on with your sex changes? Like, your sex life changes. Like, all of those topics are in there. I picked like, what are the most relevant topics? I even have somebody talking about fashion and appearance, like things like that. I have a plastic surgeon. I have a plastic surgeon on there.
Finances.
I have Beauty by Dr. Kat. She's in there speaking. So finances too. What to do if you are behind the 8 ball on that. So really pulled in the best of the best of the best. Now, the next question is, why did you make it free? Because it certainly wasn't free for me. I paid a lot of money and put a lot of time into this. Well, a couple of reasons. One, I do want you to buy it. You can literally purchase the summit, and you get lots of amazing purchase bonuses for buying it. The advantage of buying it is you can access these interviews and resources at any time on your own time. Why did I make it free for 7 days first? Because I didn't want to hear the excuse that people couldn't find the money or they didn't want to spend the money. I didn't want to hear it. So I just opened it up for free. I'll challenge you to watch it all in 7 days. You can. I'd love it if you did. It's challenging to watch all of it in 7 days. I will admit that. You can block out the whole week and watch it Monday through Sunday if you want. Like, that's amazing. You can binge watch it all, or you could select and choose the topics that you want to learn, or you could just be like I would do and just buy it, honestly. So you have all the information and can go through it at your own time. It's a lot more productive for you to be watching this information than scrolling social, than to be scrolling Netflix. I know that's all enjoyable, but this is stuff that will literally alter how you show up in midlife. It'll alter your results. It'll help you level up your whole life. You will become a different version of yourself by going through and watching these segments.
So good. And so every day for the next week, starting on Monday, you have a group of your experts split up by topic.
And the second you register for it, by the way, which is free, the second you register for it, you get access to 3 of the talks right away. So 3 of the talks come up right away. You also get some free gifts. You get a hormone guide. So exactly what we're talking about, like why your hormone replacement might not be working. You get a flat belly guide for me, so it helps with nutrition. And you also get something about gut health. So all 3 of those guides are completely free in addition to the 48 interviews. So there's like anyone that doesn't sign up for free, I don't think you actually want help because I'm at a loss. So like, cause I hear all the things. I've made so many free things over the years, and you hear like, well, I don't want to read, or I don't have time, or I can't, whatever. I'm like, I took away every objection. I put all the topics there. I made it easy for you, put the bonuses. So if you don't opt in and get it for free, and then you send me a question next week about any of those topics, I'm going to be like, what are you even talking about? Because I gave it to you all for free. So it's all there.
So you can start this weekend. You can dive in with those first 3. They're all video interviews. And so you can watch the 3 this weekend. You can binge on that instead of like Vanderpump Rules, because what's that doing to your life? How's it helping? Listen, it is fascinating, but let's carve out a little bit of time to prioritize your health and your wellness. And of course, you're going to also get the free downloads as well, the guidebooks. So you can go to the link in Natalie's bio, or you can go to coachglitter.com
Go to your link
Natalie Jill,
there.
all one word.
I'd rather them go to yours, just so we know that they came from from you here, because that way we can take care of them. I want to extra take care of
it's all good.
being there.
Yeah, no, I just love supporting women that are doing amazing things to support other women. So it's all good. But make sure you guys know that we have the link in our bio. It's in Natalie's bio. It's all good. We just want you to get the information. Like, that's all I care about, because it is so important. So we're going to wrap this up. But if you're down for it, I've got just a quick few fun rapid fire questions. So again, make sure you guys sign up and tell everyone that you love, all of the women that you want to support. If you are a business coach and you have all the courses and the memberships, I am telling you, I was doing speeches and talks and podcasts, and in the middle of talking about something that I know like the back of my hand, completely forgetting what the hell I was talking about. It doesn't have to be that way. And it's not a magic pill. It's not a magic hormone, but it works all together. We just want you to be armed with more tools in your toolbox. I didn't even have a toolbox in the first place. And now I have some tools, and it is diet, lifestyle. We don't mean go on a diet, but have a diet on purpose that works for you. And also, of course, for me, I'm 12 days into HRT. Send your hate mail to, I'm not going to read it, at shoveitup.com, because I want you to make your choices that are right for you. I love that I'm coming into this like new era of not giving any F's.
That's
like
a
my
bonus
girlfriend
in
told
midlife.
me.
We stop caring what other people think. Like we do.
Yes, but I do want the best for you, though. So there's a difference. All right. Rapid fire questions. What are your daily non-negotiables? Like your top 3 when
daily
it comes to your health,
non-negotiables:
wellness,
move my body, always. Listen to an Audible or podcast that's uplifting and empowering and teaches me something. That's daily non-negotiable. And 3, be as present as I can with any activity, anything I'm engaging in. I had a big issue before with not being super present with it. Like I'd be working out but doing something else, or walking my dog but on the phone. So I'm really focused on how can I be most present when I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing.
Ooh, that is really, really good awareness. Okay, what about what is your number 1, your must-have deserted island skincare products?
You know what? I would have said all different things until about a week ago, but now I have Beauty by Dr. Katz products, and I'm obsessed.
Oh, I saw that she launched that.
She does.
She's a show on Bravo, right?
She's one of the guests. She's one of the speakers on the summit. So she sent me her line, and I'm literally obsessed. I'm like, wow, like everything she said about it, I'm like, yeah, everybody says that about their skincare line, until I started using it. I'm like, wait a minute. This is the real deal. So I would say that one now. So good.
What is your favorite
that's a good one.
Snack?
Okay, so there's a brand new, I'm going to mess up the name of it now. Chocolate is my go-to snack, because chocolate makes everything better. But there's a company I just started trying called Living Ratio that makes healthy chocolates. So I would have to go with that now. It's like no sugar, like made with like mushrooms. I don't even know how they do it, but it's chocolate. It is chocolate.
But it tastes like chocolate? I'll take your word for it. When I first started working with Natalie years ago, back when, I don't do this anymore, but when I was a wardrobe stylist and I was a makeup artist, she brought bags of food. Like the girl eats all day long. And it's like, do you want some berries? I have this kind of berry. Don't like that kind of berry? I have this berry. And she just like fed me all day. I'd be like, do makeup, and she'd feed me. I never went hungry on any of your shoots. What is your one favorite exercise that you will do for the rest of your life?
Yeah, because if you do nothing else but planks, like your whole body gets strong. You know what, I'll say that, or walk. I walk every day too. So walking would be probably first, then planks.
Interesting. I remember when I first stumbled upon your Instagram, this is how much you've evolved. You used to have the rings.
It's so funny.
And you did all those rings.
Yeah, I don't have the rings anymore, but I probably need to bring those back out. I used to, my videos would talk about making a video viral. People love those stupid rings. Well, let's be real. I had like rings with an ocean background on my deck, with an ocean background, and I had like an 8-pack at the time. I mean, I did have, I don't have an 8-pack now, but I had an 8-pack and rings, and like, it's a good combination. And then I'd have my toddler at the time. She's now 16. And I'd have my dog. So all the combination was like a winning combo. So people remembered it. If you want a video to go viral, have an 8-pack, a toddler, a puppy, and an ocean view. It works.
Well then,
it works.
I don't have any of those things. So there you go.
Oh, God.
What's your favorite nonfiction
All my
book?
books are nonfiction. So I can't, I love all of it. I read, I read like 5 books a week, but my favorite book right now is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I'm obsessed. Buy Back Your Time. It's a must read,
Buy Back Your
especially
Time
if you're an
by
entrepreneur.
Dan Martell. Amazing. It's on my list. Go out or stay in. I know this about you. I know. Just, a lot of us that are the faces of our brains when we show up on video, we are massive introverts, but that doesn't mean that you cannot shut me up when it comes to things I want to talk about. We're having like deep conversations. So I love this. Okay. Will you ever wear Louis Vuittons
I've been gradually selling them. I can't part with some of them. They look pretty in my closet, but they just don't feel good on my feet anymore.
Oh my God. I don't know what happened to my feet, but at the same time,
thing I don't like about aging. I did not have an expert about shoes. I should have had somebody about shoes. Why can't someone make more comfy shoes for us? So all the pointy toe ones are done forever, but the platform ones with like the wider, I can still keep those. But if it has a pitch and it's like a 2-inch heel with it, then I can do it. But other than that, I can walk.
Yeah. Look, the pitch is the angle. It's like this, and it's a pointy toe, and it's more than 4 inches, and it's a skinny heel. I gotta let go of those. Okay, and my final question for you is that what's something that you know now that you would tell your younger self?
There's a whole list of things I would tell my younger self, but the number one is I would have, for myself personally, like not to be scared of having kids and to have them earlier, because my daughter's so she's almost 16. Yeah.
And how old is she now? She's a teen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember,
but I would also tell myself not to go to tanning beds, not to get breast implants. There's a whole list of things. Yeah.
I
used to go every day. I had anorexia.
Like, why did I put
I had anorexia. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not anymore, because
you don't spray tan anymore either, right?
The other thing, I can't stand what spray tan looks like on older skin, because for me it highlights all the brown spots. It makes the fine, it doesn't look, it's not attractive anymore. So I used to spray tan all the time, but now I think of like toxic, and it smells, and it's like makes your skin not breathe, and it looks not leathery and weird. I don't think it's an attractive look. But what I use instead is like this. It's actually the cheap drugstore, like Sally Hansen airbrush. I'll use that instead. With it smooths your skin. It looks flawless. It doesn't highlight spots or anything. So I'll use that instead.
Interesting. Because back when I was a makeup artist, I would test everything, and I had all my own spray tan machines and airbrush machines. Yeah, and it rubs off on all your clothes, and it doesn't.
When I see somebody my age with spray tan, it's not attractive. I want to help and tell them, but I don't, because I'm like, everyone's doing their own thing.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to love it, but for me, all those spots from when I went to tanning beds years ago have come out, and they just get darker with it, and I don't like it.
Yeah, my best tip is wear sunscreen as soon as you're born. Start wearing sunscreen. I know a lot of people don't like sunscreen.
I'm a fan of wearing a hat and blocking it, but there's also a lot to be said with the chemicals in sunscreen. So it's questionable. So I don't know where I stand on that.
I know. I just listened to all these interviews with Darren O'Leary.
I do think we should not be
I'm always hiding under the
sun getting a tan. No way. But I wear a hat and stuff. But I don't know how I feel about sunblock anymore. Just because I just know too much about the chemicals.
Yeah. Interesting. See, it's changing. Things are always shifting, and we're learning and getting better. And I just want to thank you so much for sharing so much of your knowledge and being the connector that brings all these people together. So make sure that you sign up for Natalie's totally free summit. She's going to release a few videos at a time, but I didn't even realize
you get right away
as well as
and I know you're going to put a link and stuff, but just in case, if you just go to midlifeconversations.com/deep dive, that takes you also to it to sign up. Yeah.
And you'll see all the speakers. These are experts in their space. And I'm excited for the topic I'm going to talk about, to help women as well as guys. Watch with your husbands. Let them know what's going on. My husband's just the other day, I'm glad to see that you're feeling better. And of course, our spouses and significant others.
The next level, Tiffany, is to do the gut test. They have to live with us too. That's the next. Do your gut biome. That's got to go with the hormones.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise, how your body metabolizes hormones could be affected by what's going on in your gut. So that's the next level.
Yeah. So good. All right. Well, we will see you guys all next week inside Natalie's totally free summit. Share it with your friends. It's going to be accessible to anybody that can watch a video like you are right now. So make sure you grab that. And thank you so much, Natalie. Where can we find you? Over on your
Natalie Jill
Instagram,
Fit on all the social platforms. Or I've got 2 websites, nataliejill.com and then also midlifeconversations.com.
Perfect. And if you missed any of this conversation, we'll have it up
and if you tag on mine, I'll share it
in a few minutes. Amazing. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for your time, Natalie. I have to tell you one more thing. You have always been such a huge supporter of mine throughout the years. Even if we don't talk for a little bit, you're always there to support. And I am just so honored that you invited me to be a part of the summit that you have been working so dang hard to put together. So
bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.